Hi everyone. You know, John Mackey once said, some people see problems, but an entrepreneur sees opportunity. My name is Eddie Perez, and this is my esteemed colleague, Cameron Schmatina, and today we're going to talk to you about a little company called Whole Foods Market. Now, we are marketing specialists who work for the firm, and we just like to let you new hires know a little bit about the company and why we're such a great place to work for. But before we get into that, I'm going to go to the back of the room, dust off the history books, and we're going to delve a little bit into the history of our company and what made it so great. So, John Mackey in the early 70s was like many young future entrepreneurs in the early 70s. And he did what was best for what he thought would be his goal in the end. He dropped out of college. Now, after dropping out of college, he did what many college dropouts do, and he ended up working in a weird kind of retail store. And this retail store was actually a health food store in Austin, and it led him to have the grand idea of one day saying to his wife and thinking, you know what, why am I working for somebody else when I can work for myself? And so, with that idea and a few friends and family and $50,000 later, they launched Clarksville Safeway, Saferway. Now, the interesting thing about Saferway is, if some of you may recall that it has a very bearing resemblance to another sort of grocery chain that shall not be named. I'll let you make your own conclusions about that, if you will. Now, this whole venture, this whole brand new idea that he came up with was really great. He was experiencing a lot of growth in North Austin, but something about his idea was just constricting. You know, going day in and day in a little tiny shack in North Austin, catering to a bunch of hippies and a bunch of weird people in Austin in the early 70s, just kept on getting to him. So he had to go back to the drawing board. And so in 1980, fueled by a bunch of new hysteria surrounding a brand new venture, he came up with his second venture, Whole Foods Market, where not only was the company king, but the food as well. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague here.
So, as Mackey's goal was to open something special, and he wanted us to change the way we see food, which he actually succeeded in doing that by opening Whole Foods store. As we all know, it is the healthiest store in the United States. And saying that we do have food restrictions, which you can find online on our website. That would be under unacceptable ingredients for food. And I'll give you an example. There's things like we're clone-free zone, we don't sell any GMO products, and you can find the rest online. From here, I'm going to go to my next point, which would be fair trade or sustainable growing. Basically, what that means is we want to give an opportunity to smaller businesses and firms to develop as a company and become their own corporations by purchasing our products from them, either if it's done internationally or locally. From here, I'm going to go to my next point, that we are very charitable, and the food that's left in our stores, we like to give it away to people who actually need it. So, such as homeless people or any other local organizations. Not that we also love to give to other people, but we love to give to our people, people who work here. So we do offer the best benefits for our employees. And there is also a list on our website, but I'll give you an example of that. Would be an emergency fund, which not every place has that, but we do offer that. Basically what that means is if you have an emergency, or if an accident happened in your life, we got you, you shouldn't be worrying about it. So basically we do want our employees to be successful professionally or personally. That's why we're doing all of this. However, our main goal is to enter a new market, which would be opening a new set of stores, which would be 365 stores. That would be under Whole Foods. According to Washington Post, we will be doing this and in the future. And And basically, those stores would be for those who live in between big cities, because you know that Whole Foods store is normally in the centers or downtowns or like in the big cities like Austin, New York, Houston. But those who live in between cities, so they don't have to drive all the way to the downtown or whatever, they would have an opportunity to still eat healthy and you know have organic food. They would have a chance to go right next to their houses and get the food from there. From here, I'm going to pass back to Eddie, and he's going to talk about the last of our presentation.
So today I just want to remind you about the three big things we talked about Whole Foods Market. First of all, we touched a bit on the history of the company and how Bloomberg Business says we were one of only 12 health food stores in the early 70s, and now we've grown to be the largest, healthiest store in the country. Secondly, we talked about our commitment to healthy, actual food. For example, Austin Statesman says that we are one of the only companies, one of the only large grocery chains that sells non-clonable products by animals. And thirdly, we talked about the future of the company and how even though NASDAQ index does say that we were down a bit in 2014, we're still able to come back and launch a whole new set of stores for a new market in the future. But above all of that, it is more about just the food, because after all, you are what you eat. Now, thank you for listening to our presentation. If there are any questions, we'd love to